Everything you need to make cider is right there in that apple. People who are nervous about trying it, there's no reason to be nervous about trying it. You can't really mess it up. Just get yourself some apples, crush them, put the juice in a sealed container, and you're done. Let it bubble away. It's kind of that simple. If you happen to be watching this and you feel that you'd like some more information specifically about cider and the cider making process, I'd be happy to make a more deliberate video than this on the cider making process. So if you are interested, please leave a message in the comments, and I'll see what I can do. I made this video simply because I was stuck here bottling cider, and I was thinking about cider, and I figured that while I'm filling these bottles with cider, I can talk a little bit about cider and hopefully share some insights or knowledge, understanding, whatever you want to call it, about cider making. I have been producing cider for over 20 years now. I can tell you how to make cider in probably less than 30 seconds. You get apples that haven't got pesticides and chemicals on them. You crush those apples in whatever way you can. You then press the crushed pulp in the apples to extract the juice. You put the juice into some sort of a vessel that you can seal and put an airlock on, which allows for the carbon dioxide that's produced during the fermentation process to escape while keeping oxygen from entering into the process. When it stops bubbling, bottle it, and you're done. That's it. That's all there is to cider making. You now have the option of complicating the process as much as you want. I personally chose KISS. Keep it simple, stupid. In other words, that's ultimately all cider is. Cider is just wine made from apples. It's really no more complicated than that. It's just like with grapes. You take grapes and you crush grapes, extract the juice, and then let that ferment. And when it's done fermenting, you've got wine. People don't expect wine to taste like grapes. They expect wine to taste like wine. All the stuff that you're being told, or most of the information you're going to find, is based on making commercial cider, so double filtering and stuff. As soon as you filter cider, as soon as you filter wine, you're removing things from the product that are a part of the experience. They're part of the flavor profile. So you lose color, you lose flavor, you lose character. And see how clear that is? And that's just coming straight out of the tank. I haven't done anything since I put the juice into this tank. If you want it to be bubbly like commercial ciders, there's methods to do that. You can bottle condition, which is simply adding a little bit of extra sugar into the bottle. You know, just a little bit of sugar, whether it's honey or maple syrup or sugar, right before you cap it or right before you bottle it. And if you haven't killed the cider, yeast that is still living in your cider will start to ferment. It'll start to eat that cider. And one of the byproducts of fermentation with yeast is carbon dioxide. So if you now put it into a bottle and capped it or sealed it like a champagne bottle or a beer bottle, and you've capped it, now that carbon dioxide gets trapped inside the bottle and infuses the cider with effervescence. So if that's what you're looking for, is a bubbly, like you prefer it that way, then great. Otherwise, true cider is wine made from apples, and wine, unlike champagne, is not carbonated. It has no effervescence. At the end of the day, in order to truly learn how to do something, such as making cider, you just have to do it. So really this video is just to maybe impress upon people who are nervous about trying it, that there's no reason to be nervous about trying it. You can't really mess it up. It's not a difficult thing to do, so just have at it. And don't allow yourself to be influenced too much by people that tell you that you're doing it wrong, or that's not cider, or, you know, just basically the commercial interest, which tends to co-opt any venture, and it becomes the norm within our society because most people, they just accept what they're told as being reality. So don't fall into that trap. If you want to make cider, like I said, just get yourself some apples, crush them, put the juice in a sealed container, and you're done. Let it bubble away. It's kind of that simple. Cider has essentially two ingredients. It has apple juice and yeast. Fortunately for you, if you want to make traditional ciders and you're looking for variety in your finished product, the yeast is already there. It's on the apples and inside of them, in fact. So there's no need to add yeast. That's one of the key things to keep in mind, is that everything you need to make cider is right there in that apple. Just like with wine, everything you need to make wine is right there in the grapes. Commercial producers, people are looking for particular flavor profiles and looking for a particular product, have monopolized the process of making ciders, or at least the information that's available for people who want to do it themselves, and have concocted this non-reality that it's a complicated process and only they know how to do it, because, well, that makes sense, because they want to sell you the product. And if everybody can just make their own, why would anybody buy somebody else's? See what I'm getting at? So just keep that in mind and remember from the beginning, the most important thing to take away from all of this is everything you need is in the apple, even store-bought apples, even ones that have had pesticides sprayed on them and stuff. Typically, I personally wouldn't use those, but the yeast is there because the yeast is able to get inside the apple. But even once you've washed the apples, there's still enough yeast there. Plus, there's the ambient yeast. The yeast is just in the air around you while you're processing and crushing the apples and pressing them and putting them into the containers to ferment. There's yeast getting onto it. We're surrounded by yeast. So don't fall into that trap. Yes, you can play with that by all means. Add different yeasts because you will get different flavor profiles. You can influence the outcome of the finished product by adding yeast. But it's not necessary. And in fact, it's more fun, I think, to not do that. You're going to get the occasional batch that doesn't turn out, you know, that you just isn't palatable, you don't like it. So what? Make small batches, and if you lose one batch, who cares? You've still got other batches. And if your cider for that year runs out, or all turns out that you're not liking it, what's the big deal? Try again next year. After all, worst case scenario, if you don't like the way your cider tastes when it's done fermenting, just take the airlock off of it, leave the container open, let oxygen into the process, and lucky you, all that alcohol that was made by the yeast will now be converted by bacteria into vinegar. So it's not like it'll go to waste. Don't sweat the small stuff. Give it a go, see what happens. Have fun. That's what it's all about after all. And oh yeah, if you add blueberries or lavender or anything else to the product, it's not cider anymore. Cider is fermented apples, fermented apple juice. It's wine made from apples. So by all means, add the other stuff. It's great. It's wonderful tasting. It's an enjoyable experience. Have at it. Just please don't call it cider, because it's not. Just like when I mentioned adding honey to it. As soon as I put the honey into it, I changed the character of the finished product, and it's not cider anymore. That's an old world drink. They gave it a different name, which was Cider. Just please keep that in mind. Please. Cider equals wine made from apples. That's it. Apples, fermented cider. Thanks.